you know, a lot of them, you go to college to get educated, but I thought they were the most stupidest ones. Well, I was over there, I wasn't too smart, but I wasn't a draft dodger.
That's good.
You ready, Ms. Anderson?
Yep, we're ready.
I'm Noah.
Okay.
Could you please state your name for us, please?
Yeah, Leonard Concilio.
Okay, I have one question. What branch of military during Vietnam did you serve?
Army.
Nice. When and where did you serve in Vietnam?
Camp Evans, 101st,
What did you do at Camp Evans?
was a door gunner.
What was the typical day of your job?
Making sure my chopper was always ready to go,
Okay.
because we would take off. We took missions that, quote, educated people would tell us where to drop the infantry people off, and they weren't right all the time. We dropped them on top of Charlie, but
Do you have any memories that are good or bad? You don't have to answer this, whatever you're comfortable with.
all the bad memories I try to keep away. Sometimes sirens, if I'm dreaming, sirens will set me off. I'm ready to run if a siren goes. And there's a lot of good ones, because you don't see too many animals and stuff, but we got to have a dog, which is dangerous species over there. And it's just, we try to help the people, and we did help a lot of people. The mama sons were the hardest working people I ever seen. But it's both ways. I try not to think of the bad stuff. The good stuff is like when we pick up a lot of people on the chopper, and I got to see Bob Hope. And I thought that guy was pretty gutsy to come over there at least once a year. But
That's good. When you came home, how were you treated?
that hidden. When we came home when I came home on that Freedom Bird, they flew us into California to an Air Force base that I don't even remember the name, because they flew us in the Air Force because they wouldn't fly us into the regular airport, because a lot of people didn't like us. They were throwing things, spitting at us, and it's probably a good thing that they kept us away from them people.
When you got home, was there any problems at all, or were you able to go back to your normal life?
No, I don't think you ever have a normal life, because in Vietnam, they talk about some people got Dear John letters. That's your old girlfriend sending a Dear John letter that she ain't waiting. And I told her when I left that I would rather her not write it all, do nothing, just forget about it. But she went the other way and sent me 2 Dear John letters. So I burnt them and sent the ashes back to her.
Is there anything you'd like students to know about Vietnam?
Don't always believe your government all the time, I would say. Because when I left there, they says, now you remember, we kicked their butt. No, we didn't kick butt over there. And if they think they did, they're wrong. Because we couldn't handle guerrilla warfare, that jungle and stuff. And I have another brother that was over there 3 times. And I told him I'm going once, and that's only. But yeah, I just go on ignoring it, it's just something that you have to do because I believe in backing that flag up. I will back the flag up till my last breath. I just, would always, do the flag before I think of going to Canada. I mean, there's a politician that I keep in my mind that he went to Canada and they just ignore it. We have a real good fighter that dodged the draft and all this stuff. Now, and everybody, I think, even the females could do the service. My wife was in the service. We got married in the service. So if she would have said no when I asked her to marry me, I wanted to be a drill sergeant real bad. I still do. That Smokey Bear hat, yeah.
So during your time in Vietnam, did you ever see or feel Agent Orange?
Oh, it's like going to the VA doctors over here. They said, Leonard, you was in Vietnam. Was you ever around Agent Orange? If you was in Vietnam, you was in Agent Orange. And, they try to separate it, but Agent Orange is probably still there, which it's a sightseeing place now, tours. I mean, they take R&R over there. I would not go if you paid me. I would not go because there's guys that still hasn't come back. That I don't miss that country. It's like the desert storms and stuff. I could see them, what they're going through. But it's crazy. But if I would do it again, I'd be in uniform, but I still wouldn't go to Canada. So
I'd like to thank you for your service.
No problem. It's good that you take time to bring things up like that, because when I came home, and I tried to sneak home to surprise my mom, and I made it as far as California because I had to get my money to buy a ticket to come home, and they were closing up when I got there, so I figured, well, I'll just call my mom and let her know that I'm in the States anyway. I'm a lot safer. But when I called her up, was it the Army base that I still don't know what base I was, because you're just an airhead when I think you have flush toilets, you have everything. But called my mom, she says, we're at California. I said, California. I just know I'm in California. She says, well, did you call your brother or your uncle? Wasn't even thinking. You just don't, too many things are gone. And I told her no, that I would call my mom's brother. So I called my uncle, and he asked me, where you at? I said, I don't know, I'm just at an Army base, because they don't want you to go to the regular air base or to the airport. And he says, well, get on the cab and have them take you to such and such corner. So I did that, and he picked me up, and we spent the whole night just about talking. And then when we woke up, he said, okay, he says, you want me to take you back to that Army base, and you can get your pay, and then go fly home to Philadelphia. And I said, I don't remember the Army base. I didn't get the name of the Army base. I couldn't tell you what base it was. So he just lent me the money, and I paid him back after I got to Fort Bragg. But as we were leaving his house to go to the airport, we drove down the road a ways, and he says, "There's where your brother lives." That, to this day, I really feel bad because I didn't even have enough sense to, everything's so new. I mean, the clothes that you have, even my wallet smelled of mildew because there was a monsoon over there that just rained, and we got hit with a storm, and it just tore them hooches up. But no, it was the best thing was getting out of there because they wanted me to extend for 6 months, and they would get me out of the service early, and I said, no, if I live this long, I'm out of here. Because I didn't think I was gonna make it back. It's just one of them things that you got a whole year, and then after you get a letter or two, you just feel like everything was not going good. And now it's a lot different. Like, I have a relative that's over one of the deserts there with the storm here, because he's in the guards out of Riverton, and Riverton is over there now, and Lander, but they have cell phones. The bad part is you gotta watch what you say because there's ears listening all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a year to remember, but getting married in the service and having my XO, which is the guy underneath the CO, he was my best man, and it was great. And I picked up when I came here. When I met my wife, we were in Fort Bragg processing unit. I went from a door gunner to a processing unit. That's different change there.
Yeah.
And they put me in supply. So I was working supply, and they came, and every week we had to go buy supplies. Well, since I was the assistant supply side, they would have me go and buy supplies for the unit. Well, you have to have a driver's license for the deuce and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't give him a license. My XO, he says, "You need to get your license." I said, "No, sir, I don't need to get my license. I got my license. You can't touch my license. And I'm not going to get the military license, because if you get military license and you're driving, you have an accident like one of my brothers did, you have to pay for it or stay in long enough to pay for it." And that wasn't going to happen. So we would call the first sergeant for a driver, and his last name was Anderson, and my wife's name was Anderson. So I always got her to drive me. Yeah, it was kind of neat because she would be driving that big old deuce and a half, MPs would be out there directing traffic, seeing her drive. Yeah, it was kind of neat. I mean, but yeah, it was a good experience. And then when I got here, I went into the guards here. And when I was in the guards here, we had 8-inch guns that we